Welcome to Perfect Dark, running on the PC in 16:9 and using the mouse and keyboard. Now, I've previously done a video on GoldenEye, which was running on PC in the same way, via mouse and keyboard, and I've been receiving quite a few questions about how exactly you do that. And it is actually quite simple. Essentially, this is a modded version of the 1964 emulator, which I will link in the description. The two games it supports in 16:9, I believe, are only Perfect Dark and GoldenEye. That's definitely true for the mouse and keyboard controls, which is the main reason that you'll be using this modded version of the emulator. Now, to my knowledge, I don't believe the 1964 emulator by default offers this level of control with the mouse and keyboard, so you do have to use the modded version of it, which I will link in the description. If you've not seen the GoldenEye video, I don't go into as much detail as I'm going to in this video, so you can check that out on the card on the screen. So for the most part, the main reason that you want to be using this 1964 mod is because you have full WASD and mouse controls, which is fantastic for a game which came out over 20 years ago at this point. So the emulator actually runs, like I said, a modded version and stretches the 4:3 native image to 16:9. And you can even run that all the way in 4K and add texture filtering and all of the sort of mod cons that you might see in a more recent PC game. So you can see the mouse controls are really snappy. The only criticism that I really have with this on the surface is that there's a lot of screen tearing. I'm not sure if that's going to be showing up in the recording, but that is actually one of the options you can change in the mod options, which, hello, I will actually do a video about separately because it's probably worth a sort of a tutorial, so to speak, because it's not actually as straightforward as you might think. The way you initiate mouse and keyboard controls is by pressing 4 on the number pad above WASD, so it might not be that obvious. And as I said, mouse and keyboard wasn't actually available on the default 1964 emulator, so you do have to go to the mandatory download link. Now, as for future games that are going to be supported with mouse and keyboard, I don't know, because obviously there's a lot of other FPS games that people might want to play on PC with mouse and keyboard. It's not only Perfect Dark and GoldenEye which is available on the N64, so it would be good to see those games come to PC with this sort of fidelity and control. Now, Perfect Dark is actually one of the games which is still at the very top of FPS games lists. This is still like a 10 out of 10 game even all these years later. And playing it with the mouse and keyboard at this fidelity in 4K sort of really lets the game shine. And there is actually like a port of this game on the 360, which I think this puts to shame. Even the updated version of Perfect Dark running on, like I said, 360 and modern machines just isn't a patch on this modded version of it. This modded version is I would say, personally, the definitive way to play. This game has aged really, really well. Obviously, the graphics aren't as great as, modern games, but the gameplay itself still holds up. And there's a lot of features in this game which are quite ahead of its time. Like these bodies, for example. Look, blood comes out of them, and they're not static in the environment, which is something which a lot of modern games don't do. And of course, the memory bandwidth that was available on the N64 meant that you had the bodies disappearing. But for the most part, this looks and feels really modern, which is good. Now, I don't actually know where we're going here. I think this is the only down elevator. Let's go down here, shall we? So yeah, there's a few different weapons which you switch between with the scroll wheel, which is, I suppose, fairly standard for FPS games. The reload button is E, I believe, or is it R? I can never tell. I never know which one I'm pressing with my pointing finger there. And all of the other controls, like crouch is control, and shift doesn't do anything. There isn't actually a shift feature. All right, here we go. The music's picked up in pace, and there's people shooting at us. Hello. Now, I've already mentioned the screen tearing problem with this game, and that is like the most obvious thing visually, which isn't great about this. But the more sort of, what would you say, insidious problem with playing this game on PC with mouse and keyboard is the difficulty. It is a lot more easy to sort of dodge and weave. And like, you know, on the N64, all of these people appearing would have been a significant problem. But because I'm playing on mouse and keyboard, I can sort of move around, aim at them really quickly, and the AI just can't really keep up with, you know, the amount of movements that I'm making at the moment. And the amount of control you have over where you're aiming and who you're shooting at is just vastly, vastly better than the N64 controller. So perhaps the modded version of the emulator could provide some sort of difficulty scale, and I'm not entirely sure to what level the person who made this version of the game can actually change the game files, but they can obviously add 16:9 4K resolutions, filtering options, and mouse and keyboard support. So I don't know, perhaps they can do some sort of difficulty scaling. We'll move on to the next mission and see what it's like, because it's been such a long time since I've played this game. Okay, mission number 2 seems pretty similar to the last mission we were playing. I believe we're in the basement of the facility we were just in. Now, I actually remember this mission quite well because I could never ever figure out where to go. And there is a guard at the end of the road there, which I'm going to get a nice clean headshot on. There we go. He's going to stagger to his death very slowly, and a pool of blood is going to appear. So there's like, what would you call them? Pieces of equipment you can find, like night vision goggles, a shield, and various other things on this level, which you can find scattered throughout it, which I want to do, but I fear, since it's been so long since I've played it, that we're not going to be able to find those, and we're not even going to be able to finish this level, which is going to be quite embarrassing, because I've played this game a lot of times, but as I said, it's been so long since I've done it. So this might end miserably and turn out to be a poor conclusion for the video. But I've touched on all of the technical things that I wanted to touch on with this. And if I haven't done so already, I hope I've encouraged you to go and check this out, because it is free. You know, you can get the mods for this emulator for free via the link in the description. You can also search for it yourself. Just search, you know, mouse and keyboard, N64, GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, and you'll find it. There's probably going to be updated versions of it in the future. I think the original upload was done in like 2017, somewhere around there, maybe 2015, I'm not sure. So it's semi-recent, you know, at least in comparison to when the games came out. So I will believe and come out and say that I would imagine new games are going to be added to the support list, and, you know, more recent versions of this emulator are going to be available at some point in time. So it's definitely worth keeping your eye on as a general rule. Now, this section here is going to be problematic because that little robot needs to go with us over there. But I am going to actually try and figure this level out. Okay, doors open. There's loads of guards knocking about, and I do believe we have to unlock some sort of terminal. This door's locked. Okay, this is going to quickly become frustrating to watch. So what I will do is leave you on a high note. Here is the night vision goggles. I don't know how to use them. Do you have to switch to them, maybe? I don't think you have to switch to them. How do you use the night vision goggles? I can't figure that out. That's punch. Okay. 3. No. No. Is it? No, it's not that. We want to close that. Oh, that's like a little sort of heads-up display that shows up. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know how to use the equipment. I would recommend checking out the controls because the N64 controller was really simple, but mouse and keyboard is obviously a little bit more modern than this game is, so the controls might not be obvious for certain things. But anyway, that's Perfect Dark on the mouse and keyboard in 16:9 4K. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out the GoldenEye video. It's linked in the card. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.